to Remembering How It Was. I am one of your hosts. I am Wambui Bahati, and I'm here with my brother. He will introduce himself to you.
I am Justin Washington, and I am here in Greensboro, North Carolina, while she's up north in New York City. We're going to try to make this thing work. We had an interesting conversation beforehand, and we're going to let this thing rip. And Wambui, tell them a little bit about what we're doing.
Okay, so we're doing, we want to do memories and tell stories about our life and what we have witnessed and things we remember from the 1950s. I was born in 1950. My brother was born in 1957. And as far as I'm concerned, I just feel like the world is changing really quickly. And a lot of the real good stories and a lot of real good history is being lost. And also, one of the reasons we wanted to do this is because, as my brother had said, and let me tell you, we had recorded this episode before, but our tech people weren't on it. Well, we don't have no tech people. And so the echo was so bad that we didn't want to present that to you. So we're having this conversation again. We're going to be growing and learning as we go, but we want to share these stories and memories with you. And one of the reasons also, brother, go ahead and tell them about our phone conversations we had talked about.
Okay. Many phone conversations that Wambui and I had over the years. I would call her to say hello, or she would call me to say hello. And it got to the point where the hello would last maybe upwards to 2 hours. Because what turned out to be a hello, we would go on and on and on. We would start talking about how it was, what our parents did, what we did in certain situations, and we would go like we are our mothers from Goldsboro, North Carolina. So sometimes we would take, and my father's from South Carolina, so we would take our conversation from Goldsboro to South Carolina back to Greensboro. This is where we grew up at, and all our adventures in between. And man, we had a ball living our normal lives like you do every day. But we're getting older, and we just have fun talk. We can't get off the phone because we just have so many memories.
So many great memories, and we both have our grandparents now, and I think we also want to pass these stories down from our family to the next generations that are coming. And we thought that perhaps there are other people out there who might enjoy hearing these stories and helping you to recall some things, or you starting your own stories within your family and sharing things as you recall them. And so the first the recording that we did prior to this, which we thought was going to be our first recording, but like I said, technically it wasn't in good shape, was about the telephone. So we were just telling interesting memories and stories that we used to have about the telephone. Now we can't recreate that conversation exactly, but one of the things I remember talking about was it came up about the party lines,
Yes.
Okay. And go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
No. I'll let you. I will let. Well, I'm gonna start that because you asked me about my memory of the party line, and all I thought about, the party line. You guys were the original trolls, because you guys used to listen
We
to
were from the
everybody's phone
50s.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was how you troll people back in the day, by just pick up your phone, and party line, I guess, was saved on the bill of some sort, and you listen to the party line. I mean, you would listen to them. In the same hand, they would listen to you, but everybody thought they was the only one listening. I guess all you hear is just squawking in the background, and we and the line. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, the party lines was a way of making your bill smaller because you were sharing your line. I don't know all the technicalities of it, but because it wasn't a private line, all the families on it could save money. So we were on that. I always thought we were the good family. I don't remember. See, I thought we were good. I didn't think we were those people that listened to other people's conversations. But my brother remembers otherwise. But I just thought it was the other people who listened. Now, I know if we wanted to make a call and we had to make it right then, I remember my mother picking up the phone and saying, "Excuse me, Well, now she may have already listened a half hour before she said, "Excuse me," I don't know. But she would say, "Excuse me, we need to make a call. Can we use the line at this time?" Now, I know in today's world, probably to the young children, that sounds, especially with the cell phones and all of this, that sounds really nuts. It's like, "Excuse me, I need to use the line now." That just sounds so far fetched in today's world.
Uh, but when she would say, "Excuse me, I need to use the phone," they listened. They didn't hang up.
Yeah, yeah,
They
they
didn't
probably
hang
didn't
up.
hang up either.
So there was no privacy.
Everybody was listening to everybody's call.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and sometimes the
That
only
was
way
the
you knew
time.
is somebody couldn't hold a cough, and they would be listening, listening, and all of a sudden you'd hear, and then you say, "Who's that?" Yeah, so
and, and hear a click.
and hear a fast click. But the phone is one of the things that I as a young person never saw these changes coming. Like I never thought you would there I never imagined that there would be a day when you would leave your house and the first thing you check before leaving your house is, do I have my phone? Because you had to be home to make a call. If you were if
But
in high school, a boyfriend, if you wanted your boyfriend or some boy, if you thought some guy might call you, you needed to be home by the
yeah,
phone. And it was
yeah,
always like,
yeah.
don't get on the phone. Don't get on the phone. I'm expecting a call. Get off the phone, you know?
But you know what?
So,
I just thought about this back in the day, even in the backyard with the tin cans. But our imaginary phones will have a string on it, and we just say that because every phone had a string. So we had
yeah.
tin cans. We would try to talk on the phone with the string. Cell phones you don't have a string, but we had a tin can with a string. That's how we played, and that's how we get down. I'm on the
Played
phone.
phone.
I got,
We
I
played
still got
phone,
a
right,
string.
with the tin cans, and the
Yeah,
long cord. We had people would buy phones that matched their room, the colors to blend in with their furniture. It became a thing. There were
yeah,
phones that
yeah.
you had to get the right color, and then it became that phone with the curly cord.
The curly cord and the curly cord would let you walk around the house and talk on the phone. The curly cord
Hey,
was your lifeline.
now
And
see,
I
we
remember
thought we were doing something.
I remember my mother's bedroom beside her bed. She had a phone beside her bed with a short cord, but
Hmm.
the main phone had the long cord that you could go to every room in the house. The house is small, but you can go to every room of the house. And
Yeah, you could
I
be
get
on the phone. And this was like, and they hadn't even come up with the cordless phones yet. So we had this cord though that went all over the
yes,
house. You,
yeah.
you could be in the kitchen, the doorbell's ring, you could just be on the phone, go to the front door, and that cord was just, oh, I love that. Well, I just thought we were like living the life when we
That
had that
that
cord.
was so high tech. That was so high tech. I was like, man,
But
this cord, you can do anything. And the back door, and you could actually, the way our kitchen was, you could step on the back porch with that phone, and
hello. Yes. Yeah, we
and
were
you just
living the
like
life. We were living the life.
we were big time, man. I'm out
Yeah,
here looking at the backyard, talking on the phone, man, with this long cord,
yeah,
back screen door cracked open.
we thought we were doing something. Yeah, those days. And I remember that the easiest way to turn somebody off or to not be invited back to their house again.
Oh, that's my house phone. That's still my house phone.
Yeah.
Let me do something with this thing.
Oh my goodness. So we
Okay. I'm good. I'm good.
okay. So well, I
Still
gotta say,
rocking the house phone.
you still rocking the house phone. I wish I had
Yeah.
kept mine. I got rid of my house phone, but I wish I had that landline back. Because in times of emergency, these cell phones are not going to be any good to us. I remember
No.
we had a
No.
blackout here in New York. Oh, I've lived through a few blackouts here in New York, but I remember the last blackout, what, 20 years ago or so. Those cell phones were useless. And I
Yeah.
remember that we actually called. I don't know if we called you, but we called to North Carolina because it was dark and there was no power in New York City. So we called North Carolina to find out what was going on, but we could only make that call because we still had a landline. and we could get
Yeah.
through because none
Yeah.
of the cell phones, we couldn't go out of the area with our cell phones. So I wish I'd held on to
And
my
that was the
phone.
decision yeah, I kept this thing for. It's just for spam and emergencies. That's what it's
Okay.
for.
What do you mean by
That's what it's
spam? When you say spam, we're
But
keeping it
spam,
for.
like when you go about town and you want to sign up for something, and they ask for your
Oh,
phone number, I give the home phone number
oh,
because nobody calls us. Nobody uses that line, so I know when that phone rings, it's a
it's
spam call.
it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's like I don't have to get that. It's just something
Yeah,
I signed up for, so
yeah.
I
Somebody.
could get the free gift.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
wanted the
That's
free gift.
exactly what it
Here's my
is. That's
number.
exactly what it is.
so so, but
But
the long distance. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
but that's what
What were you
we
gonna say?
get. We did long distance phone call, and the thing about like uh when you and Roberta, the oldest kids, when
Roberta,
they went off to
my
school,
sister.
and
Hmm.
I go back to the oldest Roberta. She's the first one that left home. She went to Howard
Hmm.
University, and the way Mama would keep tabs on, just know where she's at. She would have Roberta when you because money was tight. She'd have Roberta call home and say collect call. Mama would get to answer the phone, and it says long distance call from Roberta Washington. Do you accept the charges? Mama would say no, but that was the code. She got there safe.
That was the
And
code that everybody was good. Yes.
yeah,
So there are
yeah,
all kinds of things that we used to do to try to. Every penny was so precious, and
yeah.
we were not criminal minded people, but we were people that knew that every penny did matter. Because when you think
Every
about it, when I was little, maybe I think Mama worked at the hospital by the time you were born. Did she? No, she still worked
yes,
at.
yeah. Well, no, she still did day work. She started working in the hospital about Roberta's. Yeah, I remember her working at the hospital.
Yeah,
I
because
remember
she
that.
made 25 cents an hour doing what they call day work. Well, she would be a domestic engineer, I guess today. She'd be called
Yeah,
domestic engineer.
today,
But basically,
today.
she was the help from
Yeah, yeah. The help,
everybody remembers the
the
movie
help.
The Help. She was
She
the
was the
help.
help.
And she made 25 cents an hour. And see, already we have diverted from the phone, but I guess
Yeah, yeah.
the important thing is as the memories come up, you just have to go with them.
Well,
But
the thing was like the phone, the house phone, was part of that because like they used to call and ask her, "Are you working?" And she said, "Are you available?" I don't know if they asked if she was available, but she knew she
yeah,
had assigned days and
yeah,
and I
yeah,
guess you still had to
different.
call in sick or whatever. I don't know what
Yeah,
they
yeah, we still needed that phone to call and see.
you still need to work it. You still need to
Everybody,
work
that's
the
why everybody
system.
had a phone. But she was, yeah, she was, but I never forget that she used to make 25 cents an hour, and that is like unimaginable. 25 cents.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
But
wow.
going back to the
Hmm.
topic, like people being from Goldsboro, and long distance was it was a
Hmm.
charge for long distance. It was I
Hmm.
guess it was a healthy charge. I guess for the times it was a healthy charge,
Hmm.
and what we had talked about was Mama and my aunt Thelma, we called her Sue. They used to take turns calling each other on Sunday evenings, and they would
Hmm.
talk pretty much just check on each other. I guess they had some information they would give it, but they took turns. You would call me, I call you, and they would talk so swift and so quick and be off the phone. Gone. Save the money. Dime saved.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah, yeah. Well, until um, my aunt Thelma, my mother's sister, died, and she died like in her 90s. She was in her 90s,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was like
early 90s.
it was yeah. Um, and so we're talking about the early 2000s, 2000 somewhere like that, right? 2000. What year did she
Yes,
die?
yes.
But at that time, she still I could not make her understand that the long distance charges were all built in now. And so I would call her and say, "Hey, sir." She said, "This you, Ann?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, how you doing?" I said, "Fine." She said, "I'm doing fine. I'm gonna hang up now. I'm gonna hang up now because I don't want to run your bill up." And it was always
Yeah.
never talking to her
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she didn't want to run the bill up. She never got
Yeah,
that
yeah,
concept.
yeah, yeah.
And
She never got that email.
yeah,
That was okay.
that, that that it was okay.
There was no okay, there's no
So
roaming charges. But
and
she never got that. To the day she left this earth, and technology was with us, but she was, hey, how you doing? You good? I don't want to run your I don't want to run your bill up. So bye. He said, well, Dad, I want to talk a minute.
Yeah, she just never. Well, you know what? Maybe she didn't want to talk. Maybe she knew and she didn't. She didn't want to talk to
maybe
us.
maybe she
Maybe she
did.
knew
Maybe
something
she
we didn't know.
did. Maybe she did.
but
But that'll be the
but
quickest
yeah,
phone call.
and the easiest way to not be invited or to have your family and friends not like you was to go to their house and make a long distance call on their phone and not tell them that you made it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, that was
Yeah.
serious. That was
It
serious
was.
because they had a way
It
of always tracing it back to you. Then if you were visiting from a
was.
city or you had friends somewhere, they knew it was you, and that that
Well,
was
back in the
you were
day, you
done.
actually read your phone bill. You read your phone bill
Yeah,
back in the day.
yeah,
That was just one
exactly.
charge. I call who called the Massachusetts? I don't know nobody in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
and they would go through the house. Anybody know anybody from Massachusetts? Anybody know anybody in Massachusetts? And oh Lord, when they find out who that is, oh
Yeah, yeah,
man, you were
yeah.
done. It was over for you. It was over.
But you know what? But you know what? I remember this. Mama was the person that if that call from Massachusetts was on her phone, she would
Hmm.
call that number and she would take that charge to find out who they talked to. She would take that hit. She would take that hit,
Yes.
pay more money to find out who did this.
Yes, that was our mother. One day we're
Yes.
going to do an episode on our mother. Our mother, our beautiful mother who has passed on, but she was one of a kind, one in a million,
Very,
one of a
very,
kind.
very, very much so.
She
Very
was
much so.
she created her own reality.
And I think about her and the chord she would use. I would remember her and her friend Ella Rogers, who talking on the phone to Ella Rogers. I remember her talking on the phone to her friend Rooks. Ah man, she
Yes,
was man. So some a
her
few names
church
escaped me.
sisters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then she would take around the corner, and it would be. She had a posse about five deep that she would call, and
Uh-huh.
they would talk about the meetings that they would go to, and I would
Hmm.
wonder why do you go to these meetings if you when you come home, you talk about that meeting like this is the worst thing in the world. I'm like, why are you putting yourself through that, man? But I found out that was her. She enjoyed that. She would come home, they just finished a meeting, and then she'd go talk on the phone. They'd talk bad about whoever the presenter was. They talk bad. Then that next week, they're back at that meeting.
They're back. They're
Yeah,
back.
right
But
back, right back.
I don't know if it was just our mother, but it was like there were certain people who their way was to they could never say, "Oh, that was great. This was fabulous."
Mm,
Their way was to say, "Huh, that wasn't none. I don't know why I
yeah,
did that." I mean, I remember
yeah.
my. You remember when Mama went to Africa? Remember when she went to Africa?
Yes,
And
yes, 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 yes.
and
That was
it
real. That
was
was real.
like
Yeah.
it was amazing. And she was like, "Well, how was your trip?" It was all right. Okay, wow,
And
wow.
I'm sitting here. You're sitting here. I'm not trying not to go into that episode. That's going to be a good episode. I'm
Right, right.
trying not to go there.
Yeah.
I'm working hard not
Okay,
to go there.
okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay, we gonna say that. We're gonna stay with the phone right now. But yes,
Yeah, we're
because
gonna
it's
stay with the phone. We're gonna stay with the
very
phone.
interesting. But I never thought when the cell phone came, I was determined that I was not going to do that because it just seemed like an extra expense. There were pay phones on every corner, just about in every
Yeah,
store. Had some of them would have a bank of phones. Every store had a pay
yeah,
phone. There was a pay. There were you could find a phone. You could find a phone, and I thought, why would I have this extra expense uh, to have
right.
a cell phone when really don't want to talk to nobody that much, that
Well,
bad
well,
anyway.
I did a career in the military, and like there used to be a row of phone booths. So every service person had an opportunity to call. If he had somebody to call, I can't even count as many. It's be like a row of maybe 30 phones, and everybody
Mm.
would climb into their Clark Kent phone booth, and have your minute of privacy with all this glass around, and you just talk, and nobody existed. You was talking to your loved ones or whoever you wanted to talk to. And as I was saying earlier, the last taping was when a person first get to the duty station military, you have these phones, and you would go to the phone and you would call home every day, every day, every day. Then all of a sudden, the longer you be there, it'll go down to three times a week, twice a week, once a week, and you start developing friends to the point where your mother will have to mother or love will write your man, tell that boy to call home because we never knew. So we out there, so we lonely. Then we all of a sudden, the military is a bunch of little boys. So we have our friends, and we don't need to call home no more. But Mama,
We're
what happened
not,
to that
not,
phone call?
no,
How
no, you
you
know.
doing?
Yes, the
Yeah,
phone. Wow. And okay, car phones.
car phones. Well, I'm gonna tell you. Well, car phone. There's something I remember early in the cell phone game.
Because that
I
was
remember
before the cell phone, right? The car phone. Oh,
the car
okay,
phone.
go ahead.
I had somebody. Somebody gave me a car phone. I mean, I don't know where it came. It was a big black booth that was in the
They were
car.
about big boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, that big boxes. Hey, girl, they was in the big box. They was in the big boxes, and
Hi,
see,
Miss
it's supposed to
Ava.
be. They was in the big box. Which way should you go? They was in the big box, and I remember calling. I had broke a leg or something like that, and I had to use the phone. You had to use a credit. I had an AT&T card that the bill would go to your phone, but it'd be a bill that's so high. But this phone was it was inconvenient. It was inconvenient as heck. But car phone, you was cool. You had to have one. You was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. I think all the politicians at the time, and if you were somebody that thought you were somebody, you had to have that big old box, that car phone, and you had to make sure you made a call when you were at a stoplight. You had to take that out, let
You
everybody
you want
know I have a
you had to
car
make sure
phone.
you had to make sure people saw you. You had to make sure people
Yeah.
saw you.
Yes.
Because I remember going back to the cell phone. I remember this girl on one of the ships I was on. She uh she always had a cell phone where you can see it. Her keys, her car keys, and her cell phone. I mean, it's the middle of the work days. Nobody's driving, but she had this stuff in her hand. I have a cell phone. I have a car.
Yes.
But I remember she saying, I can't use the phone at 9 o'clock at night because the bill was so high. I had to use my phone at 9 o'clock
I
at night.
remember something about the times that it depended on the time of day. At first, there was something about the cell phones where, depending on the hour that you called, your bill would be cheaper depending on what
Yeah,
time you called. Yeah, there were a
yeah.
lot of hoops we used to jump through in those days just to be on the
But all,
phone,
but
just to
all,
have a
but
cell
all
phone.
that technology, we adapted all that technology. Like we live and adapt. Because right now, I have a cell phone, uh, and I don't know the difference between an iPhone, an Android, or whatever. Because I hear people say, "Do you have an Android?" I have a phone. So it's still technology is still here, and it's still
But
going to be even better or even different. You know.
yeah, well, you're like me. It's like we came up and we got caught up in the technology, but we don't really all these you like when I want like I think you do the same when you want to know something, but you probably go to your grandson now. I go to YouTube
Yeah.
to find a
Yeah.
10-year-old to
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
because I want a 10
Yeah.
year old to tell me so that I can understand because I need to understand it as a 10-year old. So I'm looking for a 10
Yeah.
year old to explain to me how to work this on the phone or something like that. So it's like,
Yeah,
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 tell
I hate
me.
that. I'll ask my grandson Nathan something, or one of my daughters. I'll ask them, and they would do it and look at me like you didn't know that. No, I didn't know that. It's like trying to guilt me, trying to guilt me. I think I'm cool. I think I'm
Yes.
with it. But some things I just what we wasn't brought up around.
No, we
You
weren't.
know,
And you know what else drives me nuts is when a company doesn't have a visible phone number that I want to do business with, and all they have is a email or online support. And I'm
yeah,
thinking, no, I want to talk to. I got to talk to somebody. I no, I got to talk. I want to talk to somebody. And
yeah.
I've never gotten used to that. The only way you can communicate.
Hitting
Okay,
zero.
I'm
I
gonna
finally
stop you
saw
right
it.
here because I
Okay,
can tell that something happened with your sound just now. Like try,
okay. I can
I
tell.
can cut this
I
out
can
if
hear it
this.
too. I didn't know if you could hear it, but yeah, I hear it too.
I hear feedback or something all of a sudden coming from you. Like not so much like it was, what do you call it, interference, or where that
You know what?
staticky sound.
I think my granddaughter touched the house phone, and I don't know what. I heard it dialing. I don't know who she called.
Okay, so
Okay, well,
right
this is a good
here
stopping spot.
is where I know that I think it changed up. Okay, so
Yeah.
um we're going to end this episode right here. Thank you so very much for joining us for our very first episode of Remembering How It Was. We invite you to join us for all of our future episodes of Remembering How It Was.